Hello, everybody. I was thinking back to the early 1950s, and I was thinking about YouTube. So I decided to do a video entitled From Old Black and White TV to YouTube. In the early 1950s, the only television station that you could pick up in East Tennessee. Now, if you lived up on top of the mountains, you could pick some stations up out of Atlanta. But down in the valley, you could barely pick up, I think it was WLW in Cincinnati. Now, I'm not completely sure, but I know that the television station was in Cincinnati. Some of the furniture stores, one store in particular, had a television. The screen must have been 19-inch. And they had it up on a stand where people could come in and watch. And, of course, it was snowy. All you could see was the static. And occasionally, you could see an image. And people would stand there for hours waiting to just see a shimmery image go across the screen. And people would say, "Hey, did you see that?" "Yeah, I saw that." Then, I don't know exactly the date, but Knoxville got their first television station. And they had two stations eventually, but I'm not going to mention any call letters because I can't really remember the first station to come on the air in Knoxville. There was a furniture store, I think by this time they probably had a 21-inch screen. I'm not sure. I'm thinking it's probably a 19-inch screen in the showroom window. And the station was to sign on the air, I think, around 6 o'clock. So what they did, I don't know if you've ever seen the old test patterns that they used to use on television, but you would walk by that window and the television station in Knoxville, they were broadcasting a test pattern. So on the evening that the television station was going to sign on the air at 6 o'clock, there must have been 2,000 people in town to witness that event. Now, other places like Atlanta, Cincinnati, and all the big cities, they had television for a while, but not down in East Tennessee, especially the area that I was from. So everybody was anticipating the 6 o'clock sign-on of a live broadcast rather than the test pattern. I'm having a hard time not laughing because when you think back, things have changed so much, and if there's any advantage of growing old, it's the ability to know the old and the new. So anyway, everybody was waiting around. 6 o'clock came. Test pattern. That's all we could see. And then a grumbling started through the crowd, and people were saying, well, the reason they haven't signed on yet is Kaz Walker hadn't arrived at the station. Now, I don't know if that's true or false. And I think at about 10 o'clock, the station came on. Now, some of the historians in Knoxville, they know all about that, and they know, if you know, put me a comment on this video. But I think it was about 10 o'clock when the station signed on, and they had the only one I can remember is Kaz Walker, because he was a famous person in Knoxville, and he may have been mayor of Knoxville at the time. A lot of this I can't pinpoint. I should have Googled it before I started the video, but it's not that important. It's just the flavor of the thing is what I wanted to do in this video. And so they had all the dignitaries there, and the only one I can remember, I think, was Kaz Walker. And some of the people they had hired to work at the television station. But I remember the first movie that they, after they gave their introductions, and they showed the movie, The Ernie Pyle Story. And people stood around in front of that furniture store. It was an event. But in those days, there wasn't a lot of events. So if anything was occurring, especially if it was free, you could have huge crowds. It's on Halloween, you couldn't get through town. There were so many people. I mean, everybody in the whole area came in to the town to celebrate Halloween. And I think I'll mention this. I have a tendency to say, you know what I mean, you know, and all that. But that's keeping these videos real. So here I am speaking at this little camera, and I can also remember the first video camera that I had. The thing weighed a ton, and that was the ones that used VCR tapes. I think the tape was inch or half-inch tape. But anyway, that's how times have changed. And not long before that event, say 8 years, 6 years, somewhere like that, I was in that same area of the town, and people were gathered around to celebrate the end of World War II.